everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Tres Leches Sports Podcast, brought to you in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. I'm your host, Gillian Matos, as always, joined by my friends, mis colegas, longtime baseball announcer, Uri Berenguer. How you doing, Yuri?
I'm all right, Gil. I'm all right, brother. It's my kids are on a school break, but it's not really different for them. I mean, they're still here. You know, they just drive me crazy because now they have nothing to do. And unlike school break from the past, like February break, before we actually did something, we could go somewhere, we could actually have a vacation. Now it's just like video games and video games and video games. And Daddy, can we play some more video games? It's like, oh my God, what the hell do I do with these kids? So, you know, it's hell week for me. It's hell week for me.
So bad habits developing there.
That's it. Hey, but Logan's getting pretty damn good at Madden. So I will say that.
Nice. Also joined by Omar Cabrera, the reporter for the New England Patriots, New England Revolution as well. How you doing, Om?
I'm happy, man. Happy to be here, guys. And Yuri, tell Logan that I used to be called a FIFA champ. If he ever wants to play me, I'm down.
No. I'm talking about real football. I was talking about real football.
and now he's called the COVID kid. Yeah. As always, the Tres Leches Sports Podcast, as I mentioned, brought to you guys in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. And as always, bringing you three topics in the world of sports. And we're going to start off right now with the Boston Celtics in the NBA. The Celtics have been knocking on the door of the NBA Finals and are certainly one of the favorites again this year. But the team has been underachieving. And in the eyes of many, including head honcho Danny Ainge, lots of things need to change. The president of basketball operations said it's not time to panic, but it's time to have a sense of urgency. Guys, we'll start with you, Omar. Given the team's current predicament, are you happy with the job trader Danny has done with the Celtics, or do you think it's time to move on from him?
Gail, Yuri, you know, I'm definitely not happy at this moment with the job he's done, but you know what? He deserves a lot of blame for sure. This team should not be a 500 team at this moment. The C should not be in fifth place. There should not be like pretty much a 13-13 this week. And a lot of the moves that he made before the season started, like, you know, signing Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague, they definitely have not panned out. So that's definitely his fault. But Danny's not the one playing the games every day. You know, he's not the one playing out there. So I think the blame have to go everywhere, all around. You know, also starting with Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens, a lot of the decisions he makes, you know what, they're really questionable. I know he has to deal with a lot of injuries, COVID issues, and the rotations that he's made sometimes are like, you know, pretty sketchy. And it makes you wonder sometimes. But that's another person that needs to be blamed too. And thirdly, you know what? The players deserve a lot of the blame too. I know up to this point, I believe it's only been about 100 minutes that Kemba Walker, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart have been able to play together all season so far. So you know what? That's definitely a big factor why they haven't played well yet. But again, this is a team that should be much better than that. It should be much better than a 500 team. So yeah, it's tough. It starts from top to bottom. Danny Ainge, big blame goes to him. Then Brad Stevens, and then the player. So you ask me, am I ready to get rid of Danny Ainge? No, not yet. He brought us a championship. You know, he's done a lot of good moves, and he's definitely made a lot of bad moves. But I think Danny Ainge is still here to stay for at least a couple more years, and let's hope that they can fix and right the ship right.
I mean, it's been tough. I mean, there's certainly been a lot of frustration with, you know, him keeping draft picks, maybe perhaps being too aggressive on what he's asking for from other teams and stuff. You also have the situation where Horford, Kyrie, and Hayward have all walked after signing big contracts with the team. Yuri, what's your opinion on this? Do you think that the Celtics and Danny Ainge should part ways, or are you happy with letting things ride out this year?
You know what, Gil? You know what, guys? I'm going to say this. I'm going to agree with Omar. I guess he just he was saying his way was the long convoluted way of saying, no, we're not sick and tired. Danny Ainge shouldn't be fired, but yeah, this team needs to wake up. I think the good thing and the biggest thing that he said, in my opinion, is that there's enough blame pie for everyone to have even seconds. You know, everybody should take a little bit here and there, including society, including COVID-19. Why not? Absolutely. I mean, we have this out. I mean, and it's a valid out. You know, COVID-19 has impacted everything, our way of life, you know, so their way of training, their way of preparing. So yes, everybody gets a little bit of the blame. But to me, the thing is, like I've said to you guys before, I don't know how to figure out Danny Ainge. I don't know what to think. I'm really just like, I'm almost waiting for for this season, not even this season, because even if this season, when this season ends, regardless of how the Celtics end up or where they end up, I think that there's still room to, you know, not make excuses, but there's reasoning. Um, that's it. I got to say that I really don't know where I stand with Danny Ainge. He's been kind of like the team this year. He's been inconsistent. He's a guy who is extremely respected in the league. He's a guy who's considered one of the best GMs in all the NBA. He's a guy who brought us a championship. He's a guy who, when he became the GM, the Celtics were right on the cusp of greatness. They were on the cusp of greatness. We finally got that title, and then it looked like they were going to get 2 or 3 more titles within a decade span. They were going to be the next Red Sox or Patriots. And then he makes these trades, he makes these draft picks. He puts together this core team. I go back to the whole Isaiah Thomas thing, and that doesn't, right when you think they were building with Isaiah Thomas, that for A or B or whatever reason didn't work out. Then, the other Kyrie Irving thing, another great play, like they were going to work it out with him, and they were going to build around him, and that just didn't quite make it. And there's reason to really blame Danny Ainge for that. But again, they've been at that cusp of greatness. They've been to the conference, the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 out of the last 4 years. Now he has this great duo, just to stick with that nucleus. He has this duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and I'm just hoping, I'm praying that they hold on to those young bucks and build around them, because they do still have the opportunity to be great.
And they have to. And this is where you and I clash on the belief of like, well, you have an excuse of COVID, so maybe you can punt this year and try to do something next year. I don't think they can. I think you're wasting 2 guys that are in their primary now, 2 guys that have definitely taken that leap to the next level there. And you have to build around them. And I think the biggest travesty on this team, and where my critique of Ainge comes, because I do think, and I agree with you guys, I think he's done a great job, and he's kept the team very competitive. And we haven't had like that spell of 8, 7, 8, 9 years where the team's been horrible, but
they haven't taken that step.
He has kept them, and they haven't been able to crack that door and then knock the door down and get in the finals, but he's kept them competitive and always has them in the running. But at some point, that's not good enough, right? And that's where we're at with it now. And it's like, okay, I mean, look, they let Terry Rozier walk, and they got Kemba Walker. I mean, who wouldn't trade Terry Rozier for Kemba Walker right now? I'd rather have Terry than Kemba, especially at that money, right? Last year, the absolute worst thing they could have done is keep all 4 draft picks they had, 3 first-round picks and 1 second-round pick, and he kept them all. They drafted 4 guys. They have no room for these players on this team, right? Rather than make a move and try to get some role players on there. And I think right now that's a big problem on this team. The issue isn't that their good players aren't good enough, because obviously you have Brown and Tatum have been amazing. The problem is that their role players are below average. And it's no Marcus Smart there right now. He's hurt. Kemba has not been 100% either since last year. And then the rest of the guys, Jeff Teague, you mentioned Omar. You also mentioned Tristan Thompson. You got the young guy Pritchard has a good night here and there, but Naismith has been nowhere to be found. Nesmith, Grant Williams is inconsistent as well. A lot of inconsistent players from top to bottom, and they're going to need to address that. And he needs to address that with that exception, the Hayward trade exception.
But then there's the question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. Is that? Yeah, I mean, Danny Ainge himself said, that the players aren't playing with that sense of urgency that they need to be playing with. But you ask, is that Brad Stevens' responsibility to get them to feel that sense of urgency, or are these guys pros? Should they, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it Brad Stevens' responsibility to do it, or should the players be held responsible for that?
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't understand, and Omar, you can chime in on this too. That I don't. Looking at the Celtics roster, if you're being honest, taking off the being Celtic fan glasses, their role players aren't very good. They're not good. And if you're looking at the rotations of these championship teams, a lot of the Celtics rotation guys outside of the starting 5, they would not crack those rotations. So that's the biggest problem I see with them right now.
Yeah, no, one of the biggest problems I see, I definitely agree with you. I think on the picks, he maybe hasn't done a great job. Yuri, I know you love Tatum. He's probably been his best pick, and I agree with that. Hands down, yeah. But you know what? I think some of the signings he's done, they haven't been bad. On paper, they've been great. You know what? You can't tell the future. You're not a psychic. You didn't know that, Gordon Hayward was going to get injured. I think actually Al Horford was a good signing too, when he signed with the Celtics. So some of the signings that he's been able to get have been good. It's just that some of them haven't worked out because they've been injured. Kemba Walker is another good example of that. When Kemba Walker, was signed, I was really happy because I was like, this is actually the type of guy that Tatum and Brown need to open up more space. And he's the type of guy who, unlike Curry, doesn't need the ball all the time. He passes the ball more. But unfortunately, from midseason of last year until now, he's been injured. So he hasn't really been the player that we saw in Charlotte.
And you know what, guys? The good news for Danny Ainge. Hey, I think at least it seems to me that you guys agree that no, it's not time to move on from Danny Ainge. But yes, he does have work to do. The good news is that I believe that he has real good job security. He has job security. The owners love him. He's done a great job. He has job security. A, B, he's still extremely respected in the league. And let's be honest, guys, the sky isn't falling. I mean, the Celtics are only 3.5 games out of first place behind the 76ers. So the division is still there. They can still fix this thing. He has until March 25th to make a splash.
Yeah.
So,
It's 2003 he was hired, so I mean just think of that for perspective, right? There was still a curse in above the Red Sox. It was just 2 years after 9/11. That's a long time ago. He's been there for a long time.
We'll see. But well, guys, as we inch closer towards the start of the MLB spring training and the 2021 season, we sit back and start analyzing or start thinking about which teams everyone has to look out for. In Boston, things got pretty ugly after winning it all in 2018. But now the Red Sox hope to regain the respect of being one of the top dogs and once again, maybe one of the toughest, if not the toughest division in baseball. But between controversy, trades, a new GM, and now 2 miserable seasons later, and almost a completely different roster, the Sox hope that bringing back their favorite Boricua will also bring back that Latino heat that helped them reign supreme in 2018. But can Alex Cora make the 2021 Sox dance salsa in October? Can he make this team a playoff contender? Start off with you, Gil. What do you think?
I love the rehire for the team. I think it's great for the team because, first of all, like the stuff that they pinned on him was kind of crap, anyways. It was like it wasn't comparable to what the Astros did.
It was crap. It was perhaps crap that the Red Sox fired him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. I think a lot of those things. I understand why they did it, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. I think he's a proven leader. I think he's someone who, even when he was a player, someone who was very respected in the clubhouse, somebody who got along with everybody, somebody who the other players looked up to when he was a player, and as a manager, certainly somebody that the players loved playing for. So the only problem is he can't pitch. And if the team can't address that, they're not competing with anybody. They're going to compete with Baltimore, I think. Listen.
Hey, he did throw the best BP. Just ask Benny and Jackie Bradley Jr. He did throw great BP.
Are they here anymore? I don't know. Eduardo Rodriguez, Eovaldi, Garrett Richards, Martin Perez, Nick Pivetta. That's not going to win anything in that division or in any division, in my opinion. But you do have Chris Sale coming back. That could be a wild card. Maybe you hope that some of these guys step up and start having career years. But I'm, as you guys know, I've criticized Bloom quite a bit. I think somebody needs to ask him if he still thinks he's in Tampa Bay and working with that payroll, or John Henry or somebody. I don't know what's going on there, but there seems to be a disconnect, and they seem to forget that they're the Boston Red Sox. And that's the problem I have with this team right now, is that identity crisis. I love the Alex Cora signing or re-signing. I think he brings a lot to the clubhouse, brings a lot to that team. We'll see if he can work some magic on it. But as of right now, I'm gonna have to say no, Yuri. I don't think he's gonna turn it around.
So he doesn't make the difference. Oh, I see you smiling over there, and to me it seems like it's not so much as to what the Red Sox don't have. I mean, I know Gil made the valid point of a rotation that seemingly can't compete right with what else there is to offer in the division, but I think that's what I mean. It's not so much what the Red Sox don't have as opposed to what the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays and even now the Toronto Blue Jays have. That's the biggest problem. I ask you, do you think Cora can overcome all that?
Yuri, I definitely think just having Alex Cora around is definitely going to make the team better. I don't know if they're going to be able to dance salsa or reggaeton in October, but it's definitely going to make them better. It's definitely going to make them better. And I know you both keep saying rotation, and actually I was going to say the same thing. It all depends on the rotation. I really have a feeling that, if the rotation is healthy, and we're going to get Nathan Eovaldi back and Eduardo Rodriguez, that's definitely going to be a big plus. But is that enough to compete against those teams you just mentioned? It's going to be tough. Chris Sale is the big wild card, I think. You know why? It depends when we get him back. and how healthy he's going to be when he comes back. That's the wild card to me.
Yeah.
But let's not just talk about pitching. I'm sorry, not just the rotation. Let's talk about the bullpen as well.
Yeah.
We got a couple of new guys in the bullpen. Otavino and then the new signing from Japan, Hirokazu Sawamura, right?
Yeah,
I believe that's
Sawamura.
how you pronounce it, right? So those are also, I think, good acquisitions. Definitely gonna make the bullpen better, but how much better is the question. Is let's not forget about the batting too, because Alex Cora is not going to be hitting. Like that's the big question mark. People also think like, man, we used to have all these big names on the team. Big Papi, Mookie Betts. Now, who's the biggest name? The X-Men. That's the biggest name that people like big Red Sox fans can probably really think about when they think about like the lineup. So
I mean, they
all
got
those new
Devers
names.
and JD. I think the lineup is
Except
fine.
JD, yeah.
I think the last year I looked at some of those box scores, and I'm somebody who, as you guys know, I play in some pretty crazy fantasy baseball leagues where like we draft minor leaguers and stuff, and I didn't recognize a lot of the names on the Red Sox box score sometimes. So on the pitching side, so. That's the part I don't know if that happens. Yuri, nobody dances. These kids don't dance salsa anymore.
Hey,
don't.
Alex does.
These
Alex
kids
does.
don't.
Tell you, Alex can dance. Alex can dance. You know what? I tell you guys. I mean, as much as I love my boy Alex, and he's my boy. He's definitely been my boy for a long time, and I think he's definitely hands down one of the best managers in baseball right now. I mean, just the way that he deals with ball players, he's great. But I have a hard time believing that he can overcome with so many question marks. What the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays can deliver. I think that's the problem. There's so many question marks. You say, Omar, that the wild card is Chris Sale. I only disagree with that because I say, you know what? No, I think Eduardo Rodriguez is just as much of a question mark as Chris Sale, because we saw what Eduardo Rodriguez. Actually, no, we didn't see what Eduardo Rodriguez could do last season because he didn't pitch. We don't know what Eduardo Rodriguez is gonna be coming back from COVID-19. Just look at what Jason Tatum just revealed this week. That he's feeling the effects of post COVID-19. He's getting fatigued sooner. Baseball is a game that's what it's really designed around. Testing your fatigue. It's a marathon. We always say that baseball is a marathon. There's no room for fatigue in baseball. So, and much less for a pitcher. He already was tended to pitch only 6 innings. What's he going to pitch now? So he's a question mark. Nathan Eovaldi is a guy who's been a question mark pretty much his entire career.
Exactly. He's never
his entire career.
He was good in the extra innings game, and he got a big contract for that.
Exactly. He can be great like he was in the 2018 World Series and postseason, but we've also seen the ugly side of Nathan Eovaldi. So, I mean, those are your 3 top dogs in the rotation. I don't talk about the bullpen because bullpens are impossible to predict, guys. Let's be honest. Talk about a bullpen is really like, talking about Gil's hair right now. That's impossible to do.
Yeah.
It's so
unless you're Mariano Rivera or like
exactly.
Trevor Hoffman or
exactly. So to wrap it up, man, I love Alex. I think he's going to make him a better team. I think we're going to see a much better team. I think we're going to see the development and the growth of something special. But if I had to put my money on it, yeah, I just respect what the Rays did last year too much, and I respect what the Yankees have done.
Yeah, under very underrated move was Dustin Pedroia retiring and the Red Sox deferring that salary, not only getting it off the books, but also freeing up that slot as well on the roster as well. Also, one thing I want to add is for, because I know we have some Yankee fans in here that watch us, get out of here with your little high road act that, the cheater is back. The cheater is back. Listen, guys, let's not forget A-Rod, Sheffield, Giambi, Clemens, Pettit, Chapman substances on his neck, Chapman shooting bullets at his wife. Like, spare me the high road act, all right, Yankee fans?
Oh, man.
Boom. Booyaka. Good points, guys. Well, moving from basketball to baseball to football, guys, with the NFL draft approaching, it's no secret that the first overall pick will be Clemson's Trevor Lawrence, who most likely will go to Jacksonville if the Jaguars decide to keep the number 1 pick, which I think they probably will. But there's some quarterbacks whose futures with their current teams are definitely in question, guys. Gail, who are some of the quarterbacks you see with a new team when the preseason starts this year?
There's quite a bit, right? It's like
everyone almost.
Yeah, pretty much half the leagues moving around.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Deshaun Watson who's not happy. Sam Darnold, who knows what's going to happen with him. Wentz, my boy Jameis, the most exciting man in all sports, is out there. Who knows where Cam Newton's going to go? Does he retire? Does he keep playing? Trubisky, Carr, Minshew, Rodgers, Russ aren't happy. Like, there's so many different things. And then you have equal amount of teams that need quarterbacks as well, the Pats being one of them also. I'm very curious to see, guys, if the player empowerment movement that we've seen in the NBA and certainly have seen to a certain extent in baseball, if it has finally hit the league, which notoriously doesn't give a shit about their players, the NFL.
What do you mean what Tom Brady did? You mean what Tom Brady did?
Yeah, and you know, and Tom has like the ability to do that too, right? But
and he's not even in the top 25 greatest of all time.
Yeah. But I'm curious to see what happens in the league this year, because you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks changing spots there, and a lot of intriguing things. I mean, you know, we mentioned the Patriots obviously, but you know, you also have the Colts, who have an awesome team, and you know, Phillip Rivers retiring, that leaves a hole there. The Broncos, I think, are very close to making it happen as well. The Bears, a competitive team with their defense, they need a quarterback under center. I would even throw the Dolphins up there, who are probably this up and coming team that has a boatload of draft picks, a great young coach, great young talent. And Tua, they're not really, you know, I live in Miami, they're not really sold on Tua. So it's going to be interesting to see how this QB carousel plays out. But there's, you know, I can't remember this in recent history, having this many quarterbacks and this many teams looking for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I actually think this offseason is going to be as exciting as next season. So I really can't wait for, you know, all those moves to start happening. Yuri, what do you think? What do you think? I'm pretty sure, well, Gil pretty much said all the names, but what do you think?
Well, I was going to add to Gil. I think he said all the names of the teams, but I was going to add, Gil, you know, one team that you can't forget, and I think people did forget, because they're kind of in a similar situation as the Patriots, that they haven't been in a situation where they've needed a quarterback for such a long time, really. And that's the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys will be looking for a quarterback as well. I mean, you're not sure what's going to happen. You don't really know where they stand just now. You know, is Dak Prescott really ready to come back to start the season? So I think that's a team that also you have to pay attention to. They're always big players.
Did you guys see that they released a video, like basically promoting the upcoming season? Dak was not in the video at all, and then they said, "Oh, it was an oversight on our part." Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Right, Jerry Jones.
You edit this podcast, and it's only about 30 minutes long. You know how long that takes you. Can you believe that somebody edited a professional video for the Dallas Cowboys and didn't notice Dak wasn't in there?
Talking about kicking a guy when he's down.
Seriously. So yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, you know, another team that definitely be looking for a QB, or maybe looking for a QB, I must say. But I'm going to take the different approach, the opposite approach of Gil, because while I agree with everything he said, you know, there's enough to talk about, at least. You know, there's a lot of rumors, but I'm going to take the side of, you know what, let's get rid of all the bullshit. Let's get rid of all the BS. Listen, Russell Wilson's not going anywhere. He's won in the Seahawks. And if the Seahawks let him walk anywhere, find themselves in an obligation to trade him, then shame on them. They're idiots. So I'm going to say, start off with that. Russell Wilson's not going anywhere. Stop it. Also, stop it. Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Deshaun Watson. Listen,
a team to get Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans have already said it. They're going to ask for 3 or 4 first-round draft picks. No one's going to do that. You can't do that.
They're saying they're not going to draft him, but he can easily say, "Look, I'm not playing," because it runs deeper than just like.
I don't. He's not going anywhere.
I'm actually looking forward to see where he's going to end up, Yuri. Man, that's a shit going on in Houston.
Yeah, he's going to end up in Texas.
To be gone.
He's going to end up in Houston. I'm telling you, dude. He's 26 years old. You have to do something to kiss his ass, and you have to make it right to him. But you cannot trade Deshaun Watson. Stop it. Come on now. He's not going anywhere.
I mean, look, you're preaching to the choir here. I think we're both in agreement that we would never trade him. But if the player says he doesn't want to play for you and he doesn't show up and doesn't play and he's willing to sit out, what are you going to do?
We'll get
you're taking that cap.
I just don't think it hasn't gone to that yet. It hasn't happened. So I'm telling you right now, I'm sticking to it. He's not going anywhere. All right.
If you're Houston,
we may have to revisit this, but I'm telling you, he's not going nowhere.
If you're Houston and I'm Miami and I call you and I say, I'm going to give you Tua, I'm going to give you the number 3 pick, and I'm going to give you another pick as well. You don't do it?
No, absolutely not. For Deshaun Watson, Tua? Did you see? You saw Tua firsthand. I mean, what, really?
And
Tua and this? No, absolutely not. No, not for Deshaun Watson.
Or he sits out.
Well, you know what? You better make it right. Do whatever you can. Do whatever you have to make it right. You make it right. That's the thing. Right?
Since you guys mentioned pretty much every name already,
can I finish my answer? From me. The only guys that are going anywhere, the guys that I know or one guy that I know is going to go somewhere. It's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a guy, he's still young enough. He's still not too far removed from showing that he was an MVP candidate type guy. He's a guy who's definitely going to be looking for an opportunity to prove himself. And then maybe sometimes some teams out there, hey, the Bears would be a perfect fit for him.
But that's a big one too, though, because that's a big hit that Philly needs to eat a lot of that money, and I don't know if they're willing to do that. So,
well, listen, they hate him. So
yeah.
And one guy that you guys scoffed at me when I mentioned him, that I liked him, and you guys, I know, dude. I think the kid, Sam Darnold, the Jets, Sam Darnold, dude. He's 24 years old. He definitely has taken, perhaps didn't take the step forward that everyone expected, but come on, he's with the Jets. How could you expect? The development has been paused. I think Sam Darnold is the guy that we have to keep an eye on for him, because this is a kid who has a future, and there's teams looking for him. There are teams asking about him.
Actually, that's funny. That I'm sorry, no, I was just gonna say that's like pretty much what I had also had, in mind, that the Sam Darnold experience in New York is over. But I think this kid has potential, and if another team gives him an opportunity, he's probably gonna do much better than anywhere in New York.
You guys laughed at me when I said
we know he's got. We know he's got talent coming into the league, right? But I guess my question to you guys is because I can't think of it off the top of my head, but what quarterback has come into the league with like that much hype, not done anything for 3 years, and then turned it around and come back together? Like, have we seen, like, in recent memory? I can think of that. I can think of people like Brett Favre, who was buried in Atlanta, and then he goes to Green Bay and becomes Brett Favre, but I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, at least, and maybe our listeners can educate us on this. But I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who's done that.
But things like that, it's like saying, I could also say the same thing about Tom Brady. When was the last time you saw a quarterback go to 10 Super Bowls? I get your point. Yeah, but he's showing that he has enough talent to be a legitimate starting quarterback for a good team.
Well, guys, I might end it with the opposite. We're talking about teams that are going to, we'll probably be seen with different uniforms next year. Keep this in mind. I have a feeling, and this is a topic for another day, but I just want to leave it like this. I have a feeling that Cam Newton could be coming back to the Patriots next year. Keep that in mind. Watch that.
As an RPO option running back quarterback for like less than $1 million.
I don't know, but I have a feeling
there's no way that guy's running an offense. He can't throw a 5-yard pass. All I know is my boy Jameis better get a job, and that guy, we need him back in the league. Well, we've reached the end of the episode here, and as always, we have the abrazo or the chancletazo segment, where we give somebody a spanking or a big hug. Omar, let's start off with you. What do you got this week?
Well, I'm going to surprise you guys. I'm usually in a good giving mood, but today I'm in the mood to give a chancletazo.
Oh.
Yep. And guess who my big chancletazo is going to? It's going to my Boston Celtics with a record of 13-13. It's, lost 2 big games to Detroit and to Washington, 2 of the worst teams in the league. 7 losses in the last 10 games, only 5 wins in the last 15 games, 24th in the league in overall scoring from the bench. It's not acceptable for a team that we expected a lot more, and hopefully my chancletazo will get them going, and we'll still make the playoff, and we'll make a long run, right? Right, Gil? So that's why I got to give him a chancletazo. Hopefully with that chancletazo, I can wake them up.
Yeah, hopefully you wake them up. I know you want to trade Tatum for Andre Drummond, but...
Never said that.
Yuri, what do you got?
Tatum should be on the bench. He should be, right? Right. You know what? It's not uncommon for me to be whooping some ass. I'm going to continue whooping some ass with a chancletazo. I have to do it to people like my little brother Mark, my younger brother Mark. He's not so little. So my younger brother Mark, and all those they keep on thinking, they were saying, or continue to say that the Patriots, I think, Gil, you may have been of one of these people at one point. They continue to say the Patriots are going to get Jimmy G's going to be back in the Patriots. Jimmy G's coming to the Patriots. He's the guy that Belichick wants. He wants him here, and he's going to be here no matter. Stop it. All you guys get a big ass chancletazo. So he's not going anywhere. He's still under contract. The 49ers came out and already said that they would be interested in a new QB if that QB was Deshaun Watson-esque. Deshaun Watson-esque. It's not happening. That's what I'm pretty much saying. Yeah, no, I mean, we would move on from him, but there's no better options. We got who we got, and we're okay with him. He's not coming to the Patriots. He's not going anywhere. So big chancletazo to all those.
I'm waiting for Belichick to come off the top rope and send the 4 picks. I'm not going to be here anyways. Take the 4 picks. Well, guys, I am going to go with 2 abrazos this week, actually. My first
now, see, this is messed up. He can't be whooping some butts with chocolate dusted and you be giving abrazos. That's just weird, dude. That's just all
role reversal.
Times change.
I know. I'm usually the one giving the spankings here, but I want to give a big hug to Draymond Green, who's a guy who is known to speak his mind, and usually when he speaks it, he's pretty spot on about some stuff. But basically, he said on Monday night that there's a double standard in the NBA and the way the NBA is dealing with players and teams. He's talking in terms of the Cavs saying that they were going to bench Andre Drummond, and because they're looking to trade him, and then the Pistons saying they were going to bench Blake Griffin because they're looking to move him as well. So basically, what he said was, and I quote him here: James was dogging it in his last days in Houston, but he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team. Everybody destroyed that man, and yet the team can come out and say, "Oh, we want to trade a guy," and then that guy has to sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer, and he's not good in someone's locker room, and he's the issue. So basically saying there's a huge double standard that exists right now in the NBA, and he's not wrong, guys. I can't disagree with him at all. He's absolutely right on that one. And then my second abrazo is a more somber, but not somber because he lived a great life and certainly somebody who had a really good run. I want to say rest in peace to Johnny Pacheco, the godfather of salsa, co-founder of Fania Records. For those of you that don't know, Fania Records is known as the Latin Motown and was home to basically every salsa legend. It's amazing seeing some of the videos that we saw online today with some of the Fania All-Stars playing, where every single person playing an instrument there is an absolute force in the world of salsa. So Fania's roster at the height, had people like Celia Cruz, Hector Lavoe, Willie Colon, Ruben Blades, Rey Barreto, Bobby Valentin, Larry Harlow. The list goes on and on and on. And he was the guy in the forefront of it and the conductor of that famous Fania All-Star Orchestra. So rest in peace to, like they would say in all the songs, Pacheco. Rest in peace.
Viva la salsa.
Hey, can I add real quick, and this goes out to all my my Dragon brothers and sisters, and actually Omar as well. I think it just came to mind now that you mentioned that today. Actually, I want to give a big abrazo to the Dragon family and to the families of Mrs. Tabor and Mrs. Prince, English teachers at Boston Latin Academy. Mrs. Prince, who I hated when I was in high school. Oh my God, that lady! Oh, I swear to God. But then after high school, I realized, I'm like, dude, what Mrs. Prince was teaching me was among all the English lessons, it was responsibility and just respect. And I remember to this day, I'm 38 years old now. I've always thought of Miss Prince, one of the teachers who really was the backbone of my education, because she was so hard-fisted, because she was a non-nonsense type of lady. So Miss Prince, Miss Tabor, thank you for everything, and rest in peace.
Yeah, I'm sure you were a very enjoyable teenager to have in the classroom as well.
I can attest to that.
Well, guys, we reached the end of this episode of Tres Leches Sports Podcast. Be sure to follow us on social, interact with us on social as well. As always, brought to you here in conjunction with El Mundo Boston. For Uri Berenguer, for Omar Cabrera, I'm Gilly Matos. Have a great week, guys. Peace out.